Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to the I Love You So Much YouTube channel. If you guys like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and let's get started with the episode. So you don't like coffee?
No, I do love coffee.
Okay.
I just don't drink it.
Okay, but you're a matcha person. Listen, I go through phases where I hate coffee and I like matcha.
Mm-hmm.
So do you make it from home or where do you go?
Okay, I try to make it from home and it's like not the same.
Yeah.
But like I attempt. I definitely do.
Do you have like a little hand frother? Or
yeah,
like the whisk
I have
thing?
like ceremonial grade matcha and I have the frother and the bowls and everything, and it's great, but I can make a good like matcha Americano with just water and matcha and like honey or whatever, and it tastes fine. But if I want like a frothy latte, I'm going somewhere else to get it.
Where do you go?
Honestly, Erewhon, Alyssa's Secret Matcha.
Yes, it's so good.
Oh my gosh, I'm literally obsessed with it. Or Alfred's or wherever. But today I try to get a matcha from Creation, and it was awful. So never doing that again.
I remember the days where it was so hard to get good matcha out.
Yeah.
Like 5 years ago when it wasn't that big of a thing. Even in Dallas, I will say that's the one thing. Like, I have certain places that I will go and get matcha. And to be fair, I haven't tried the other places, so I could just be like saying it's not good. But I'm just, it's just once you've had good matcha,
it's so hard to go back.
You can't go back. Like, I refuse to.
Yeah, so true. And I feel like luckily here in LA, there's so many places that have, like everywhere has matcha now. I don't even have to worry if my friends want to go somewhere for their coffee. I'm like, okay, they're bound to have matcha. It's fine. Or I just drink tea, but I just found that coffee makes me so jittery. I love the taste though, like coffee ice cream or whatever. Like it tastes amazing, but the way that it makes me feel is not the best. So.
Do you have anxiety?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to say, I feel the same way.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's like the number one thing you're supposed to get off of. And I don't know. I go through my phases though. But okay. Last question about matcha and then we'll get going with our lives. What is your order when you go out?
It's one of two things. I'll go if I'm like specifically craving Alyssa's Secret matcha, which is like half almond milk, half coconut milk, vanilla stevia, and matcha, then I'll get that. But typically if I was just to like order somewhere random, it would just be a matcha Americano, which is just matcha and like water and ice. And then I'll ask for like a packet of stevia because I also don't like eat sugar really. Yeah.
So Queen of Health essentially is what we're getting at.
Trying.
Okay, can you give us a little background on yourself, where you grew up, your life, just like, you know, introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Natasha. I was born here in LA actually, and then I moved to Florida, Fort Lauderdale, when I was probably like 2, and I lived there till I was 10 or 11, and then moved back to LA for my parents' job. And I grew up I grew up normal, I don't know, like in a house with 2 parents, and just like it was fun. Living in Florida was so different to living here. You know, we could just like go outside all day and build forts and play tennis, and I played competitive tennis for almost 15 or 16 years, which is like a huge part of my life. And then when I came here, I started getting into like modeling and acting and social media when I was about 15, and that's kind of just been my life ever since. And that's what I'm currently pursuing, all I want to pursue. So yeah.
Did you always plan on doing that when you got older, or was it something that kind of grew on you?
Social media or like
acting, entertainment in general?
No, acting, music, entertainment, everything like performance based is something I've loved since I can remember. Literally, I feel like I came out of the womb like wanting to perform for people. But social media I don't even think social media was like around back then. Like I only picked it up when I was 15, and it was just for fun because I watched other YouTubers and influencers like.
Who were you watching?
I watched like Bethany Moda all the time. It was like that era.
Mac Barbie 07.
Yes,
yeah,
totally. And I don't know, I just loved watching like the makeup tutorials and the morning routines, and I was like, okay, maybe I should try to do this myself. And then I did, and I'm so not aesthetic like they were back then, but I was like, I'm just gonna film whatever I can just because it's fun for me. And then I think people just started to like it and just like enjoy what I was sharing, and then from then it's kind of just turned into like what my platform is now.
What did you start posting?
On YouTube, I don't even know, it was the most random things. It was like little makeup tutorials or my monthly favorites or like, you know, those type of videos. And then people liked it. And then I would also post like random singing videos or just things like that. And then now I mostly just post vlogs and just kind of take people along like on my week or my month or, whatever I can. I'm not, the past like couple of years have been so interesting. I'm like trying to like find like my niche just because I love social media and all that stuff, but it's definitely not a job I want to pursue like for the rest of my life, just because I'm way more passionate about acting and stuff like that. So trying to find like what people are most interested in seeing, but that's all like a journey, you know.
What do you think like you're most interested in though? Like what are you interested in like posting, or even just within yourself? Like what is your favorite thing?
For me, I think for me, the part of social media that I love the best is feeling like I kind of get an inside scoop of people's lives and just seeing the behind the scenes of anything that they're working on or their passions and their interests. So for me, the vlogging is most fun for me because I feel like that's what I would want to see from other people. Just seeing what they do on a daily basis, whether it be going and getting their coffee or workouts or cleaning or like random hauls, you know? So that's what I've been sticking to, of just picking up my camera when I can and documenting those random moments just to make people feel like they're included in my life, because that's what I like from other people, you know?
How do you feel like that's affected you starting on social media younger? Because I started my YouTube channel when I was 16, so like very similar boats. Like obviously the hate comments or people saying something mean, or honestly even just knowing that people are watching your lives, like how, and honestly it might be different for you having like parents in the public eye, but how have you dealt with that, and in what ways do you think that's like kind of almost like not even shaped you in a way that's like, oh, it's made you who you are, but like I feel like you live with a lens of like knowing that someone's going to see something, and it's like a weird balance.
I think for me, because of just both my parents' careers, I have always felt like that since I was younger. And when we were in Florida, it wasn't as big of a thing just because out here the culture is so different.
Florida is like a lot more normal,
right? It's just like you walk down the street and no one really cares, and I feel like here just it's a different environment. So growing up, I always felt like, regardless of like my YouTube channel or my social media presence or whatever, I always felt like I had to be very careful of just the way that I would speak and present myself, because you don't know who's watching, and everything that you put on the internet is going to stay there forever, et cetera, et cetera. So in that regard, it wasn't something I had to like learn, or when I would get hate comments, I was kind of like, well, like I already expect this just because of the way that my family is already. Now, it's a little bit more interesting because I feel like the internet is so much more hateful nowadays, and I have to be pretty conscious of what I post and just, I don't know, everything, and also take things with a grain of salt. Like this past year, obviously we just started this year, but last year I had to start going to therapy like weekly about it, because it was just, I felt like
me too,
everything that I did was being scrutinized on my page, on my parents' page, on my brother's page, like whoever it was. I just felt like there was someone always had something to say, and it was affecting my mental health so much, where I would literally have like the shakes before posting an Instagram because I didn't know how it would be received. And I mean, me compared to like so many people who have, you know, millions more followers than me, it was just crazy to feel that way. And so I needed to really check myself and know like where I'm finding my worth and my value, and it's not in these comments, and it's not in these random people that are following me. If you want to follow me, great, but like it shouldn't affect me in such a way where it's, you know, causing me like anxiety, depression.
Yeah, and it also, I think growing up on the internet, it can in ways like emotionally stunt you,
for sure,
in so many different avenues. And like I've been in therapy off and on like my entire life. Like that's not the only reason I'm in therapy, but it comes up a lot. And it really wasn't until the past year in therapy I realized how much it actually did bother me, because I'm like, I'm pretty used to this like hate comments or like whatever, things like that, whatever, like that stuff. I can read it and just like not feel any type of like, not always, but like you get to the point where things can roll off your back. And then for whatever reason, if I'm in a more vulnerable place, I think it affects me a little bit 100%. More. And then I'm like, oh my God, my whole life, what am I doing? And it'll almost like, it affects you because like you're living your life, but also it's sharing on the internet. And granted, it's only 5% of it, but that's still part of your life.
Exactly.
And so then all of a sudden, I don't know, I want to talk about in a second, like the identity and not getting your worth in comments. But before, this is like an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Because if people are coming at my parents, that to me would be so much worse than people coming at me. Like I think I would be like, I'm going to fight you. How do you handle that?
It's so hard.
Yeah.
It is. I am like, I'm a very protective person. I'm a very loyal person. Do you know anything about the Enneagram?
Yeah, what are you?
I'm an 8.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm a 3, but I know 8s. Yes.
So I fight for like everyone. Everyone in my life knows me. I'm just super protective. So whenever especially with my parents, there's always comments and there's so many negative ones, and it sucks because you know them and you know their heart and the way that they can be perceived online, or the stories that people make up about them can be so difficult, and it takes everything in me to not like fight back in the comments. And I definitely have my fair share of comments that I have made. I try not to anymore because I know that they're just dumb trolls, and they, at the end of the day, they're just seeking their own attention, which is like, I'm not going to feed into that, but it's really, really hard for me not to. And I mean, I think the lucky thing about my situation in particular, because I feel like it would even be like harder for someone who didn't have parents in the public eye, because maybe I just feel lucky that she also understands what it's like, so it doesn't affect her.
Yes.
You know, if they were making comments about, when people make comments about my friends, it hurts me even more, because I'm like, they don't even get it.
Yes.
They don't get.
And they didn't ask for this.
Yes, exactly. Like
I feel the same way. Yeah.
They haven't put their lives online, so don't come at them on my comments. But if someone comes for my mom or whatever, it's like she has her own, you know, she can handle herself and she gets it and she puts her life online, so I'm not too worried. But when it comes to my friends, I'm like, don't go there.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
like, I will fight you.
Yeah.
There was a girl that was my sister and I are pretty close in age, and she was a friend of my sister's, which I'm so protective. Like, I love everyone.
Yeah.
Like, for me to actually have like a negative thought about someone,
right,
it's rare. Like, if I really don't like someone, then my friends are like, wow, we really can't like
totally,
them, because like, I am the last person to dislike someone, which, by the way, isn't a great quality. Like, I've come to realize that like I should be less like that. But for whatever reason, I'm very protective of my sister, and I think it's come into me not liking some of her friends.
Yeah.
This one was warranted. She said something very off the cuff and rude to my father, and I'm like, I have never wanted. I'm not even going to say it on the internet.
Yeah.
But like, oh my God, I literally almost lost my mind. My best friend almost lost her mind, and everyone loves my dad too.
Yeah.
So it's like, I hate you with everything in my being. I don't even know forgiveness anymore. Like, that is out the window. Like, I can't, oh my God. So dealing with it on like your level, I would lose my mind. Like, you do a lot better than I do.
With training, my mom is like, you need to keep your mouth shut. I'm like, oh my gosh, because I also am like, I'm super outspoken about everything, so like I kind of don't even like think before I speak half the time. I just say whatever I need to. So when it comes to that, it's so hard. Trust me, I get it.
No,
it's so
hard.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about not finding identity and your worth in comments. Like, has that been a journey for you, or have you always kind of just been there already?
It's on and off. It's so on and off for me. I'm a very confident person. I have always been just very...
Where do you think the confidence comes from?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. As I've gotten older, I've realized my confidence, I think, comes from my dad. Like, he has instilled in me that I can do anything.
For sure. I think I'm very much like my dad. Him and I are like two peas in a pod, and he does not care what anyone thinks about him, and he's like so dominant and just like this confident personality, and I definitely get that from him for sure. I feel like I've always been that way, but that being said, there are some months where I'm like the least confident person, and I am finding my worth in boys or the people that comment online and like having a good reputation or whatever. And I think this year, more than any year before, was super testing and honestly really difficult. I was seeing a guy for a while, and it didn't end poorly. And it just completely knocked my confidence, because I felt like something must be so wrong with me. And like for a couple of months, I was putting all my worth in what people thought of me because of like how badly this affected me. And so I had to kind of retrain my brain to just like learn to love myself. And I feel like so many people preach self-love, and like I'm such a big advocate for it, but I was not practicing it at all. And it's so hard to wake up every single day and look in the mirror and like know that you have value, know that you have worth, and that you're intelligent and smart and beautiful and all these things. So for me now, I definitely still have so much confidence. I always will, I think, but to really like know and be confident in yourself is to love who you are, you know?
How do you get there?
I don't know. To be honest, I think a lot of my confidence has to do with my faith and just where I base it. And I want to look at myself the way that God looks at me. And I think that's so important to me, and surrounding myself with people that also encourage the same thing for me and in me.
Beliefs and things, yes.
Yeah. And just to know that you're special and to pursue the things that are so unique about you. And again, like I said, it is not easy, but it's an everyday struggle of like waking up. I also do a 5-minute journal, which I just started like this year. And I feel like every single day it has me do that daily affirmation. And I feel like when I'm like writing those things, it just makes me believe it more. And honestly, I'm such a big advocate for fake it till you make it. Like, I think there's been so many times where I just don't have confidence, or I don't know really where my worth is. And I kind of just have to pretend to like make myself believe. And then once you feel like you're like, okay, I can do this, then it gives you that other confidence to go ahead and do whatever you want, you know?
No, I completely agree. I'm 24 now, so my 23rd year, which I love being 24, by the way. To report back to the podcast, I actually do love it. I hated 23.
Oh, I'm 23 right now.
No, I hated it. Not that you will, but I did. That was just a bad year for me. So I was just like born with this like naive confidence. Like, and a lot of it I think comes from my dad. I always say like, my dad literally thinks I could run for president, but he's the first person to tell me that I'm wrong. So it's
right.
Yeah, so it's like a really healthy thing. I moved to LA when I was 17. Like, I had this really naive confidence, and I was just like, I can do anything.
Totally.
And I think it was like post-grad, I went to like a Bible college. That was great. And then, you know, in other ways, it comes with cons.
Yeah.
Because I was already in my career, I thought I wasn't going to feel any type of way like post-grad. And I like lost it. I don't know what it was. Like, I had gone through a big breakup that I was happy to be out of. Like, that was good. But at that time, everything in my life was changing. What I wanted was changing. Who I wanted to be was changing. And up until that point, I was so like, nope, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to achieve it. There's no other option, whatever. And I was so like, I didn't even allow myself really that. I would allow myself space to like pivot and like, oh, a podcast, like certain things like that. And honestly, going to the school that I ended up going to was a huge pivot. But I was almost like tunnel visioned, and then I got to a point where I was like, I don't even know who I am. Like, I haven't even given myself time to think in 2 years, and I was so confused, and it was the most like insecure I've ever felt. It was which I had never felt that to that extent. I all of a sudden was dealing with comparison. I was so lost. I had no direction. I say all this to say, if you were in that position though, the best thing I did was kind of allow myself to crash, because then like the only thing that I could do was basically, it could only go up from there.
For sure.
And so by allowing myself to really get to that place, I think if I would just put it off and ignored those feelings for so long, which is what I was good at doing, I would have never gotten to the point where now I am the happiest, most fulfilled, most confident. I'm in the best place, I have the best vision for my life I've ever been. But I think it took my 23rd year of breaking down everything that I thought I wanted and who I thought I wanted to be and who I was, and changing that. And not to say every single thing about me changed, but I think I needed to know why I wanted to be something versus like someone else telling me that. And I think like getting to the worst part of my life, like the most insecure, was actually the best thing for my confidence in a weird way.
I fully agree. I remember earlier this year when I had kind of told you like I had this not breakup, but it was just this bad situation anyways. And from that, I just kind of spiraled down into so many different things of my confidence being lower, me not even really knowing like what I was passionate about, or just like not having a drive to do anything, and feeling super confused, and trying to find joy in certain places that I shouldn't have been, and like just experiencing a bunch of things and like not being happy. And I remember, this is like something I love about my relationship with my mom. Her and I are really close, and she'll call me out for anything, you know, and so will my friends. But I just remember that I was so unhappy and I couldn't figure out really why. And like, I didn't even know what I was doing with my life, but I was trying to not really let my friends know like what was going on. And it was such an insecure time. And I just remember my mom like randomly calling me and just being like, I don't even know what she said. She was just like, I'm worried. Like, you're not yourself. Like, I don't know what's going on, but I just feel like you're trying to find joy in these places that you shouldn't. And like, you don't have direction. And like, I want you to know that I recognize it, because if you don't, like, someone should tell you. And like, if you need help, if you want someone to talk to, if you want someone to like go through this with you, like I'm here for you and all this stuff. And I remember I was just sobbing because it felt like such an attack in the moment of like, oh, I hate that someone's like calling me out for like, you know, doing all these things that I'm doing. But at the same time, if I didn't have it, it was almost like a wake up call for me to be like, oh, okay, like I'm definitely not where I need to be. Not even just like with my actions, but emotionally and like the place that I and my mom like know that I can be. So after that, I was like, okay, I need to like take a step back, like figure out and really like think and not throw myself into these like mindless places to try to find, you know, joy and a passion and etc. And then after that, I felt like, again, that was probably like my lowest of the year and lowest that I've been in a long time, and like having not even realized it. And then from there, just being able to go up and all these great things happening, especially towards the end of the year, basically after that conversation, like so many amazing things happened. And so I'm just like super grateful that I have that relationship with her. But just like if you have a friend or anybody who can have your back and be like, yo, I see something's up, like let's figure it out, you know, because they want the best for you.
I think that's like the best quality in a friend too. I always want to be the friend. I think I've gotten way better at this. I wasn't always good. Before I was maybe afraid of like quote confrontation when it doesn't need to be, and so I would keep my mouth shut, and I'm like, if I would have just said something earlier, I could have maybe helped them. And that's something I'm trying to get better about. I think in the past like year and a half, it's definitely something I've been working on for myself, but I'm just not naturally like super confrontational. But I think that's a really incredible thing. With your mom though, like, do you ever have a point where you're like, mom, like, where you get maybe, when you said it felt like more of an attack, like how do you get to the point where you're like, I trust that this is my mom, I'm gonna listen to her?
To be honest, I think because my mom doesn't really give me advice, unless like my mom and I from a super young age, she was never the type of mom that would like meddle in my business ever, or she would only know like what I would tell her. And so even now as an adult, she'll never give me unsolicited advice unless I ask. Like if I'm like, hey, I need help with this or I need to figure this out, then she'll be like, of course I'll help you. But she's never like, oh, can I like,
she doesn't like insert herself?
No, not at all. So when she does, I know that it's like coming from a place of love, because like she wouldn't just mindlessly do it. And I definitely have friends that do that, and I'm super not a fan of it. Especially because I'm such an independent person. I want to figure, you know, my life out for myself. I don't need anyone to like give me their opinion. But I have been through so many things, just like in my family life, that if I'm like, my mom is coming to me, it's only from a place of love. And I'm really grateful that I have that relationship, because I know not everybody does. But I think that even if you have a friend that you can keep you accountable and like call you out, and I know like me and my best friend are very much like that, where I'm like, if you see something that's up, you can tell me. And if I see something that's up, like I'll tell you, you know, because I want to be able to be the best version of myself at all times. And I would want the same for her.
Yeah, I think that's a really incredible like relationship to have.
Yeah.
You are in a world where rejection is huge.
Tell me about it.
Whether it is, I mean, social media, whether it's acting, I mean, entertainment as a whole. And also, I think everyone deals with rejection, whether or not you're in this industry.
For
like,
sure.
Obviously, everyone deals with it, even on a small thing of like a breakup or
100%.
an almost breakup. How have you like grown through rejection and taken that well, especially as an 8? I know I have very close people to me as 8, so love that we have this.
Yes, me too. Dude, it's hard. It's so difficult. I hate rejection so much. Especially with work, it's been really difficult because I mean, the entertainment industry is just so unpredictable, and you just like never know, and you're working hard and you could be doing a great job and like not book anything or work for however long. And same thing, like I'm super sensitive of rejection in relationships, and it's like a super, you know, big like insecurity thing. But I think that this whole past year for me was such a lesson of like whatever's meant for you will be, like time and place and all that stuff. I feel like God just has a plan for everything, and especially in the first half of the year was so difficult for me, and I felt like so many things were not going my way, and I was so depressed. I had the worst anxiety. I would wake up every day and cry and shake the whole day. Like it was awful. And and I just felt like I was being rejected in every aspect of my life, and I didn't know how to cope, and I felt so like unworthy. And then I just had to, I mean, obviously through going in therapy and just like really working hard on myself and like my habits and things like that, learning that I think whatever is meant to be for you will be, and it's okay to face the rejection, because I think every door closes like 3 more open in a different way. And then the last half of this past year was literally the opposite in every way, shape, and form, that I was like, oh my gosh, like I would never have experienced any of this stuff if this stuff didn't happen. So now it sucks. I was actually having this conversation with my friend last night. He was like kind of going through something with work, and I was telling him how like I was crying, a couple weeks ago to my mom 2 days straight about work and not feeling like that I could do anything and being rejected and whatever. And then just to change your perspective and to know that it's a no now, but it doesn't mean it's going to be a no later. And it could be a no because this yes thing is going to come for you. So I think when I change my perspective, I just try to take a deep breath, and so much of that is out of my control. So I'm like, I'm just not going to stress about it.
I feel the same way with rejection. I mean, no one likes rejection,
right.
But I think like, I feel like we're both like strong personalities, like confident. It's definitely a difficult thing. And one thing that I have started to do is I think about the times where I dealt with rejection and something way better happened, or I dealt with rejection and then 6 months later, I'm so glad that wasn't in my life. Like people, I think it's the easiest in your dating life, with all due respect. Like
100%.
Like even a guy I was dating like a year ago, it's like he is great, but I'm so glad we're not together. And had we stay together, I wouldn't have reconnected with all these friends that I reconnected with. Like my life got so much better, and I'm grateful that for that rejection at the time it sucked, but now I'm really grateful. So I like to have that lens too, but I will think of like specific situations in my life that I'm now really grateful for, and it's definitely like eased the almost like pain and anxiety of rejection for me, because I have like examples that I can look back on, like concrete.
I do too. I feel like this whole year I was talking to my therapist about it, and I was like, if you would have told me that the second half of this year would look like it did when I was in the beginning, I would have been like, there's just no way, because I was in such a dark place. And so like having that mentality, I feel like even now when I do experience rejection, of course it's still hard and like I hate it, and it like it gives me like
it's not fun.
I'm just like literally hate rejection, but at least I can have concrete examples of when this was beneficial. So now I'm like, just take a deep breath, it's okay, you can be sad about it today, but tomorrow move on.
And I think giving yourself time to feel the emotions, but not too much time.
Totally.
And that's a really big thing, because like either I will do it or I'll see friends do it, or I feel like it's just so common. Like you'll wallow in like your misery, and there is a time to feel your emotions. Like don't ignore them, but don't allow it to last too long, because then you're just not you're not taking any. Oh my gosh, I'm like a frog today.
No, it's okay.
You're not taking steps forward, and you're gonna stay there.
I think that was something also that I learned this year, because to everyone I always like to seem like I have everything together, and I'm very put together, and that nothing would bother me. And so I would bottle up all of these emotions when I'd be rejected and feel so insecure inside, but to everyone else I'd be like, no, I'm totally fine. And then it would just cause like just rifts in my whole life. And I had to learn like, no, it's okay, like you can be sad about it and like express it and feel however you want to feel, and it's normal to be sad, because I think I was almost like embarrassed too of the rejection, and then feeling like embarrassed to be sad for some reason, and I didn't like people to see me when I was vulnerable or weak. And that was also something that I was like, okay, I need to change and allow myself, it's totally normal to feel sad and experience it, but then also like when you're ready, don't pity yourself for however long, like feel it and then get back up and move on.
What you said about like bottling things up too, that is, I'm like prone to do that. And what I found, and this is not a revolutionary concept, but like talking about it and opening up about it, not only is it so freeing for you, but then you realize that other people feel that way. You connect, you get advice, it's just such a healing journey. And that's honestly, you can't get better without opening up. But it's difficult to be vulnerable in front of people. Like I used to not be able to cry in front of anyone. And like still I have a hard time with it. But how did you go from really wanting no one to see that to like being able to be more vulnerable?
It's such a weird thing, because I'm actually a very open person.
Yes.
And I feel like I share like everything
That's
with
how I
everyone.
feel.
I could meet you in like 5 minutes and I'm like, you want to hear like my deepest darkest secrets?
Yep.
Like, I'm fine like telling you. But there's something about in a lot of my relationships and friendships, I feel like I'm always the
like strong
I'm
one.
like the alpha,
Yeah,
always,
yeah.
you know? So and all my friends are 2s, all my best friends, and then I'm this 8. So I'm like strong, and they're like the little like sensitive ones that I like comfort or whatever. And so I think it came like from an insecurity of someone seeing me as weak. And that's something that I really learned was like, I'm fine sharing, but I don't want anyone to see me weak or like take my sadness as, oh, she's not strong or she's not as tough as, you know, she looks or whatever. And I think just like you said, verbally talking about any issue is so helpful. I also feel like it sometimes will make your issue seems so much smaller when you say it out loud. You're like, okay, I can get over this.
It feels like you have control over it and it doesn't have control over you.
Exactly. But yeah, just I feel like talking about it and keeping people in my life more like up to date with certain things that might be affecting me helps, because then I'm like, okay, you already get it. I'm not just like keeping it in and then I'm have to unleash and then I'm embarrassed that you see me sobbing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you kind of already know the situation, and if I cry, I cry. And now I'm like, whatever, I'll cry in front of everybody.
Yes. No, I was the exact same way because I'm like super open, but then I'm like, but am I? Because then I can't share certain things.
Exactly.
So it was really confusing because I was like, I'm also the most open out of my friends, and I'm the one people come to because they know I've dealt with it.
Same.
But then to a certain level, I don't want to talk about that, or I can't. Maybe it was like I couldn't show the level of vulnerability that would require. There was something with it, and it was hard.
I think it's also for me, it's like fear of judgment, which is so stupid because I feel like the people that I'm going to are like my best friends or my parents, but still I'm like, I don't want you to judge me for what I'm like feeling or how I'm acting or whatever, but I feel the exact same way.
Yeah, it was really tough.
Yeah.
I feel like you have a really good group of friends around you. Is that true?
I do.
Okay, good. I wanted to talk about like making friends in your 20s, especially in a big city, because people ask that all the time. I have an incredible guys, I'm on like the 8th recording of the week. I'm delusional. I have an incredible group of friends in LA, at home in Dallas, and I'm in New York all the time. And in New York, I love my friends. Like, it is literally like what the thing that like fulfills me the most.
Yeah.
And I think that making friends in your 20s is a very hard thing to do. So how have you done that, especially in, you know, LA, where people would say tend to say it's like way harder, you know?
It's so funny because I have like 5 girls that are kind of in like my best friend circle, and I only have known one of them like for longer than like 2 years. So the rest of them I've only met in like the past year or two, which is crazy. And I've met them through the most random things, like mutual friends. One of my best friends randomly was a photographer. She's not anymore, but she had just messaged me to do a shoot, and we did a shoot, and then we headed off, we hung out, and then we became best friends. Like so random, but mostly through a lot of mutual friends and you know, parties or like, you know, dinners or things like that. But I swear I have made more friends in my 20s than I have in the majority of my life. I also was not like in school, at least. I'm a very social person. I'm super outgoing, but in my high school, I didn't really have many friends. I would just go do my work and leave. And so now, especially just, I mean, I don't have like a corporate, like 9-to-5 job. So during my day, I'm just kind of doing whatever. Sometimes I have like, you know, work for like a month period if I'm shooting. But if I'm not, then it's like my day's super open and I need to go on like hikes or go on walks or do content with people. And then you just kind of start DMing people and like making friends. And recently I actually went on a trip. One of my friends had a birthday in Vegas, and I only knew her and one other girl, and there was probably like 15 of them. And normally I'd probably be like so scared because I don't know any of these girls, and we're all going to Vegas together for fun. And I was just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go. And I ended up staying like in a room with these other girls, and we all became so close. And it's just like fun when you meet people that way. So I feel like saying yes to opportunity is so crucial. So if my friends like invite me out, I try my best to be like, yeah, for the sole reason of like, I would love to make friends or just like know people and have people in your corner. But my immediate friend circle is super small.
Yeah, and also like saying yes is really important.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of times I remember in college, there was a group of people who would complain all the time. It was very like middle school.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh my God, we're not invited. We didn't get like excluded, like literally middle school. I cannot make this up. And it's like, you guys never once invited us to do a single thing. If anything, like, you can't keep complaining if you're not making a solution.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to making friends, you have to say yes and you have to put yourself in positions. And even when it comes to like social media and DMing, like I think at the end of the day, even if you don't have a platform and you're just like in a city and you see someone you could be friends with,
Totally.
It's not weird to DM someone, be like, hey, I just moved here. Like, what's up? Because you know what? That person probably feels relieved that you were the one to do it. It's not weird at all.
I don't think so either. There's a couple girls on TikTok that I've like followed for a super long time, and I just think they're so sweet, and I have DM'd all of them being like, when you're in LA, please can we get dinner? Like, I would just love to be friends with you, and you seem so cool. And I feel like that's such an awesome like turning point for social media, that we can make friends with people and it's not necessarily like weird, you know. Before it would have been like, oh, you're an online friend, like that's kind of creepy, whatever. But now it's like, yeah, let's just all be friends. And like if you feel like we'd get along, then yeah, I'm so down to go get dinner, go get coffee, and just like see where it goes, you know.
I think it's just really important. And also in a weird way, like even if it doesn't pan out to be something like a great friendship or like a lifelong thing or whatever, it's like at least you almost have like, it's like social practice in the same way it's like dating. Not that you need to like put up a front or anything like that, but like it can't do any harm.
No,
you know?
Can't. And just to have friends in different places in the world now that we have social media is so cool. And not everyone has to be here. And then when you go to different cities, like you might have a friend here or there. And I don't know, just connecting people with different walks of life is so fun.
No, I agree. What is your favorite thing career-wise that you've been able to do?
I actually, one of my favorite things is something I just shot. I shot an Aurora Tea Garden movie, and it was like, it's a mystery series. So that was super, super fun. And I actually got to play my mom's younger self.
That's so sweet.
So yeah, it was really special for us to do that, even though we didn't act together, but it was just like a fun experience. And that entire like franchise is so loved. So I'm really excited for that. And it hasn't been like anything that I've really shot before. A lot of the stuff that I've done have been more like romantic comedies and whatnot. And then the other thing that I really loved was I got to be a part of a Lifetime biopic called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, which aired earlier, I think in like October, maybe. It's like a couple months ago. But it's the Richard and Christine Carlson story, which was just really, really special that I got to be a part of. And I loved the whole cast and everyone. So yeah. And I'm just excited for like future opportunities, you know.
Yeah. What is your biggest lesson you think you've learned through your entire career? It doesn't have to be acting, it can be anything.
Wait, will you repeat the question?
What's your biggest lesson you've learned?
Oh,
career-wise.
Learned. Honestly, I think one of the biggest things that has helped me so much is to say yes to things that scare me. Because I'm so scared of rejection, I'm like, I need to cover all my bases. I need to make sure that this is going to work exactly how it should and like how I want it to be. And that's so unrealistic because then that limits you so much. And there's been multiple occasions. I don't even remember where my mom got this from. She saw a documentary or something and then told me. But she was like, you need to start saying yes to things that really scare you because it's going to push you and it's going to make you grow. And, you know, I feel like parents say that to you all the time. And then there were certain opportunities that got presented to me that I was like, oh, heck no, I'm not doing that. Like, that's so not in my wheelhouse, so not what I'm comfortable doing. And that's what sticks with me is like, no, you do it because it scares you and because it's going to grow you. And I have, and it has not turned out how I wanted, to say the least. Like, it definitely, not all of them have been successes. Some haven't, some have. But I think in that, I have been able to boost my confidence of like, okay, I can pretty much do anything even if it's not gonna turn out the way that I want, because I'm getting that experience and it's gonna be a whole lesson like in itself. So I feel like that has helped me, and even just in my career now, I feel like I'm a lot less fearless because I've taken those risks and done those things, because now I'm not as scared to fail, even though I hate it, but I'm not as scared to do it.
It's kind of like a habit, you know, building a habit, and it's like, oh, it's not as scary. Something that's really stuck with me that Ed Milet always says is confidence is built by making promises to yourself and keeping them. And so whether it's your routine or you basically, it could be any commitment. Like, I want to do things that scare me, or I want to do a workout class, or I want to commit to X amount, well, whatever it is. Yeah. Over time, I think that really helps build confidence. And then in turn, when you're more confident in yourself, like, you're more fearless.
Totally.
It's really helpful.
Fully agree.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit more about like day-to-day life. Like, what are hobbies you like? What are things you like doing? Just anything. I know every day is different. So
I know
routines
every day
are hard. I know.
I do have a pretty structured routine.
Go into it details. I love routines.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wake up probably around like 7:30 or 8. And I do the 5-minute journal, which is that's pretty new. I don't like always do that, but that's pretty new. And then I work out. I love working out. It is like the most important part of my day. It changes every day. I've been trying to do it more intuitively and like seeing what my body needs. I love doing high intensity circuit workouts for like an hour, and that's what I grew up doing. That's how like my dad would train us, so I'm super used to doing that. But I've also really been loving doing just like hikes. I love Pilates. That's one of my favorites. My favorite. So I usually do some type of workout in the morning, just like set the tone for my day, because also my mood is so highly affected by my physical activity. Same. So if I don't work out, and not to say I'll be in a bad mood, but I know I'll be in a way better mood if I do be physically active in some way. So
I can't focus sometimes if I don't work out.
Yeah, I just feel like I need to get it all released. Yes. I just need to move my body.
I think that's an anxious thing too.
For sure. So it's actually one of like my coping mechanisms. Whenever I have like anxiety or I'm feeling really anxious, I'll literally just go on a walk or go on a bike ride or like do something physically active, because it just like it kind of tires you out, and then you're like, I don't really have the energy to be anxious. But I do that, and then I make myself breakfast. I have a crap ton of vitamins that I take like 15 different pills every morning, and like my friend is like, you're crazy. And then from there, it's kind of different. And I usually just work on content during the day or auditions or grocery shop. I love to cook.
Me too.
Yeah. So I cook a lot.
I am like convinced I'm a chef.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. So I cook a lot. And that's also just like if I don't think I was going to be in the entertainment industry, I'd definitely be like in the culinary world. I just love it. It's so therapeutic and fun. And I'm such a foodie. So I love doing that. And then at night, I usually kind of just wind down. I love painting. So a lot of times if I don't have anything to do, I'll just put on a movie and paint, or
that's so relaxing.
Make bracelets, or I don't know, just try to do things that are more tedious to get my mind off of things. I'm also a huge bookworm. So
okay, me too. I read 100 books last year. I literally
obsessed.
Wait, okay, share some of your favorite books.
Guys, I did not read 100 books.
I was hoping. I don't know why I just knew that this would be a thing. Okay,
I love books. Wait, what was your favorite book that you read?
Oh my god,
did you just ask me that?
Yeah, I know book recs. I have so many. I would say recently I read The Simple Wild, and the cover is so ugly. So
are you like fiction or nonfiction?
Both. Okay, but I would say I'm like 80 fiction now.
Okay,
yeah,
I'm like 100% fiction right now.
Okay,
so
yeah.
I'm trying.
It's rare that I'm reading nonfiction right now, but
it's so hard for me.
You know what I am reading right this second? What? I said right now so many times. Do you watch Cheer? Have you seen it?
I watched Cheer, yeah.
Okay, so season 2 came out yesterday.
Yes.
Fun fact about me, I can't watch TV. I never do. I have no attention span, whatever. But Cheer comes out. I'm already on episode 6. It came out yesterday.
Up.
My day yesterday got canceled.
It was on in my apartment. Yeah, yesterday.
I literally was like, I don't care because I can watch Cheer. I told everyone, I was like, no offense, don't talk to me. But I'm reading Monica's book. I love her.
Oh, okay. I'll have to read that.
Yeah.
This year, okay, well, I only really, like, I'm such a bookworm that it honestly takes me like a day to finish a book. That's how quick I read. But then I'll go like a month without reading a book, and then I'll like finish one. But my tops that I've read are Silent Patient.
I love that. I read that in a day.
Same.
Yep.
Verity.
Yes, same. Love that.
So
she has a new book coming out in like 6 days.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Another one by Colleen.
It Ends With Us.
It Ends With Us.
Me too.
I'm currently reading The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo.
These are all my top favorite books. Like we have the exact same taste.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. And then I read a book. This wasn't last year, but it's so good. And I feel like I never hear anyone talk about this book, but it's called Final Girls by Riley Sager.
Okay, I know the author.
Okay. I put it on my Instagram like a couple of years ago, like send me recs, and someone randomly was like, this is a good book. So I picked it up, finished it again in like a day. You would love it. I'll text it to you so you can get it. But it's so good. I mean, it's very similar vibes to like Verity and Silent Patient in terms of like it's like a thriller horror, which I love.
That's my number one is thriller.
Same.
Yeah.
And all my friends, like, they always ask what I'm reading, and I'll tell them, and then I'll give them the thing, and they're like, "That's so weird." And I'm like, "No, but if you just read it, you would get it."
And I'm actually the friend, like, if you tell me to read a book, I actually read the book.
Same.
But I read so quick, and I have a Kindle, which makes me read even faster.
Okay, I read like the book.
See, that's how I started reading so much. Well, one, I also made a goal, and I'm so stubborn that like if I make a commitment, I'm going to read 100 books. So like there was no way around that one. Right. But I got a Kindle in 2020. Yeah. And it makes me read so much more, and I don't stop. And I know everyone's like, "Oh, I want the physical book." No. Like, you get a Kindle, you read more, it's easier. Also, I read too much. I don't have room. I've like my townhouse, like a 2-bedroom townhouse. Where are the books gonna go?
I know. Well, that's how it's kind of turning into. So I'm every time I read a new book, I'm like, "Does anyone want to read this?
Yes.
Take it off my hands so I can have a little bit more space." But I'm reading that one right now, and then I don't know what else I'm gonna read. Probably another Colleen Hoover book because I love her book so much. But that's something that I'm like.
Have you read Renee Carlino?
No, I haven't.
You should read Before We Were Strangers.
Okay.
Because that's also in that, like, it's so funny because, like, you realize the book community is such a community, but in that bubble, that's like the number one romance, I would say. Okay. In the way that Verity is, like, oddly enough, a top thriller, and that's the only thriller she has. Yeah. Which isn't even a thriller, but anyways, I'm so glad we could bond on books. I know, same. It really is.
I don't have that many friends who read like that, so I'm so glad you read these books.
No, text me every day.
Okay. I'm so down.
I have a book club in Dallas. I'm making all my friends like read books.
I'm so down to join.
I was like, guys, you have to do this. Like, it's really good for you. I have one friend who actually reads, and it's like finally someone to talk to about. You know,
my best friend, I just got her to read. It's been like a year. I've been convincing her every day. Can you please read this? Can you please read this? She's like, I don't really like fiction, and I'm like, no, I swear you'll read like a couple pages and you won't be able to stop.
Exactly.
Because I can't. I'll be walking down the street and I am like engulfed in this book.
I dream about the books that I'm reading. Yeah, it's like, kind of embarrassing.
When I finish it, it's like it doesn't leave my brain for days. And so finally I got her to read It Ends With Us, and she loved it. And I'm like, okay, next is Verity or Silent Patient, and then we can figure out what else. But she's super on like the nonfiction wave, and she's trying to get me on that. But I don't know. I like them. They're a good read, but I love to be so like when I read these books that we're talking about, the world does not exist around me.
Same.
Like, I just cannot stop. And I feel like that's so fun. I also love being not on my phone and just
that's the best part about cooking and reading. You can't be on your phone. That's why I love it.
Exactly.
And as far as like reading nonfiction, when I was younger, because I grew up, I read every Nancy Drew, every Junie B. Jones book. Yeah, like I was.
We were like the same.
We were the same. I was such a big reader, and then I like moved here. I was so young. I was working, and I was like nonfiction only because it has to be good for me and like my time, whatever. And I genuinely learn more through fiction books than I do nonfiction. I will read nonfiction from time to time because there's certain books I want to read and that I like. But I'm definitely a fiction girl. And it gets like, it's good for your anxiety.
It stimulates your brain in such a different way.
Yes. It's there's another book too. Little Secrets, Jennifer Hillier is another thriller. But like the wife doesn't kill the husband, so it's like really good. Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not like all the other ones that aren't bad, but like this one's it's the most unique thriller I've ever read. Oh, it's my favorite one. It's my number one, that and Silent Patient.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll read your rec and then you read my rec.
Oh yeah, this is perfect. We'll like
swap off.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm so excited. We have been talking for a while.
I know.
I could literally keep going forever, but we can't do that unfortunately. So, can you share where they can find you?
Yes. All my social medias are at Natasha Bure, Twitter, Instagram,
YouTube,
TikTok, YouTube. Yeah. I'm like, what else do I have? Yeah. Just all Natasha Bure, and yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is so fun.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know by giving it a nice thumbs up and subscribe for more.